Thank you, Chairman. First, congratulations on your appointment to be ambassador to the UN. President Trump made a great choice in nominating you. You are the perfect person to carry out his America First policies on the world stage and defend our best interests. Representative Stefanik, the United States helped fund the United Nations, and the goal was always a forum for the world's governments, especially the great powers, to be able to establish and keep peace if possible. This is clearly not what the UN is today. It has been in the eyes of many of our eyes, just complete failure. So what are your thoughts?
I think that the UN has not lived up to its founding mission of international peace and security, and that was when I discussed this potential role with President Trump. He said there was great potential if it returns to that founding mission. If you look at the anti-Semitism and the amount of resolutions targeting Israel, that is not meeting the mission of international peace and security. So I also think, being good stewards of U.S. taxpayer dollars, looking at the organizations within the UN system that work, that function, that are results-based, that are transparent, accountable, and the American people support them, that they support our national security strategy, versus their parts within the UN that I'm deeply concerned about, that I think are very in need of reform.
Thank you. Now on to Israel. The UN has a long history of disproportionately targeting Israel with resolutions, inquiries, and sanctions. Specifically, Agenda Item 7, which mandates the discussion of alleged Israeli human rights abuses at every session. This agenda item is unique to Israel and is not applied to any other nation like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, or Venezuela, who all have documented severe human rights abuses. Given that U.S. funding indirectly supports investigations and resolutions that single out Israel, what is your plan to increase transparency and accountability in the allocation of UN resources and American taxpayer dollars?
I think this is a key question that I want to work with this committee. The chairman has spoken extensively in various hearings about the importance to know where every dollar goes within the UN system, and that is my commitment to do so, to deliver that transparency and accountability as part of this process, assessing all of our UN programs, our funding, to see if they're effective and if they are supportive of American values. And then if they're not, then we need to have serious conversations with our appropriators.
Thank you. Many UN member states with barbaric human rights records are quick to criticize Israel while avoiding scrutiny for their own bad behavior. How do you plan to hold them accountable?
I think holding them accountable with our voice is very important. Speaking out, that was one of the lessons in the committee hearing with higher education, with the colleges and universities. When you speak out with moral clarity, the world and the American people listen. We need to ensure we have that moral clarity with our U.S. ambassador to the United Nations every single day.
In recent years, there have been calls to withdraw or reduce U.S. funding to UN agencies that are clearly anti-U.S., anti-West, and support the hostile states that use the UN for themselves and against us. What actions are available to you to make clear that the United States will no longer accept being treated this way at an international organization we largely fund?
I think President Trump is the strongest commander-in-chief in terms of he knows when to negotiate and he knows when to walk away when organizations are counter to our national security or counter to American interests, whether it's the WHO or whether it is other organizations within the UN system like UNRWA, and I hope to support his leadership in this role.
So I look forward to your tenure at the UN. I assume you'll be there Trump's entire term. At the end, what would you consider to be your success? What would you hope to say you accomplished in your 4 years?
I would hope to accomplish support of President Trump's America First, Peace Through Strength. I would also hope to accomplish significant reforms to demand results and efficacy of every dollar that goes to the UN. For decades, this committee, on a bipartisan basis, has talked about the importance of reform. We need to get that done. I think it fits squarely with this Department of Government efficiency and one of the major issues that the president campaigned upon. And I also want to make sure that every U.S. taxpayer dollar goes to support making America stronger, safer, and more prosperous, working directly with the Secretary of State to do so. And President Trump campaigned on peace and no new wars. He is the president of peace and no new wars. I also think we have a unique opportunity, for example, to build on the success of the Abraham Accords in this second term, and I hope to support that in this role.
Thank you. You're going to do a great job. Thank you, Chairman.